Last week, Paula and I talked about our next topic. And I was looking through the list of things that we had come up with, and I was like, identity and shtick. I have been dealing with what is my identity. Can we please do that one?
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about today. So this week I've been thinking of that topic and thinking of questions to ask you. And it seems like every podcast that I listen to, every book I listen to or read centers around that.
It's a hot topic for sure. I smiled when you chose it, but I'm ready to dive in.
You smiled? But why? Just happiness?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fantastic to be happy. Well, okay, so throughout my life, I have had a wish to have an identity. And when I was in high school and then early years in college, I wanted and was searching for an identity that was impenetrable, that was titanium to all insult and injury. I had had enough of that, and I wanted to be insulated from that. That didn't happen.
Life.
Yeah.
Life comes in, you know.
Did you have sort of like an origin story where you were first thinking of, oh, Paula's a thing. Paula's a person. Do I have a shtick? Do I have an identity?
So me being me, everything is always evolving and reforming and breaking up and coming back together. That's what I have experienced in life. And for me, identity is tricky because I feel like it can be a, excuse me, a label sometimes. And I don't want to be labeled. But yet at the same time, I very much understand, and this is where I'm landing on identity. I feel that identity is inward facing and outward facing. And it serves these dual purposes for yourself and for other people to connect with you. And then after that, I guess where I land is identity at its core is about respect for the individual, seeing that individual, being with that individual, and recognizing that they have very individual perspectives.
And I wonder if that outward facing thing is that part of identity?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it has a purpose, but for me, its underlying purpose is really about wanting to be respected as yourself, whatever that may be at that point in time. I think people are looking for understanding and they want to be acknowledged respectfully and to be supported. I think it's about being supported. at its core. So I'm like, because the whole identity, that's what it comes down to for me. It's about people wanting to be supported. And then what are you going to do if someone sees you as this and you don't feel that way about yourself?
Yeah.
That's very challenging for sure.
But it's not as though your identity is taken by committee vote, and that, or maybe it is. Maybe that is like, we feel like there has to be like, 9 out of 10 family members agree that Monica is now successful.
And what does that mean? Success. Sorry, I didn't mean for you personally.
I'm just laughing because that's just, if you only knew.
We've arrived.
Oh, yes.
What does that mean? So I'm talking about myself now again. This constant striving for success or the pinnacle. I don't know that I'm going to say I don't know that ever happens, because for me, I like the search. I like the journey. I want to enjoy that part of it. I don't want it really to end. I don't want there to be an ending. I feel like in the end, I have to be happy with what's at the core, what that magma is, to be assured that I know who I am, that I'm doing my best to be my best person and to not do harm, and to be respectful and listening and trying to make the world a better place.
Okay, so here's a question. Identity and a sense, like finding identity in place or space. I'll give you a little bit of background. I'm saying this because the find myself thing really didn't do it for me growing up. What the hell does that mean? Find myself. But finding a place or a space where I feel seen is a thing. And that is how I came to start to cultivate that maybe I did have a very shifting identity. I also take great pride in that I pledge no allegiance to much of anything. But yeah, that's how I first experienced the idea of identity tangibly.
I think that's very powerful, to have a place and a space that you feel you can occupy with agency, and to spread your being, your whole self, and feel like you can exercise that and grow. There's lots to build on when you have a strong sense of yourself. And I think when you don't, that's really hard. Or if you feel like you're challenged, that's really hard. Or if you feel like you're not supported.
Okay, I have another question.
Okay.
What interferes or disrupts your sense of identity?
I can think of so many things.
Really?
I can think of so many things.
Is identity delicate?
Yeah. For me, it is.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a weirdo anyways. So, yeah.
I have to say that events of the last 3 months have made me feel like my identity is delicate. But then I found some core, what are the keystone blocks of the foundation. And you just can't move those. They're really stubborn. I enter into different spaces. And keep in mind, I'm white the whole time. But, when I'm an election judge, I walk in at the beginning of the day and my identity that day is tied to the role that I play that day. Am I a head election judge? Am I registration judge? Am I precinct judge? And I've done all three. And then I have to serve in that role that whole day, which feels such like a performance because my true nature, as I've learned, is not to abide by rules and the letter of the law, but that day I do. And that's not part of my identity.
After recording, we discovered a whole field describing the cloaking of personality traits. This is called covering. People of color may say, yeah, duh, and recognize it as code switching in white spaces. Kenji Yoshino is a professor at NYU and has written a book about the topic. He was a guest on the podcast Hidden Brain that was released March 3rd, 2025. Check it out.
Well, I was smiling when you were talking about in this space, I have this role on. I'm like, yep, I've done that. Yep. And I just smiled because isn't it interesting that that's what we feel like we have to do? That we have to rise to this occasion and become. So that takes a lot of energy.
Sure does.
A lot of energy.
It's a performance.
Absolutely it is. Or from my, me, I've done it. I don't like doing that.
Me neither. So what isn't a performance? Is that how people can find their identity? I'm like always frustrated because every single middle schooler is being told to find themselves or to, kind of create their identity. And could we just have sort of a workshop for them? Because each of them is struggling alone, and that's such a drag. The middle school years are always so hard. Well, yeah.
It makes my brain just go, ugh. It's a hard topic.
It is a hard topic. But
at any age, at any stage, at any point in your life,
well,
oh my.
And if you're like an athletic, outdoorsy type person, and that's part of your identity, like maybe that's what you do for your job and your whole thing, and then you have a climbing accident or you have a stroke, you have to refigure everything out. And people have identity crises when they, enter retirement or they move somewhere. It's just like rot everywhere. Can we have like the Cliff Notes version of how to get an identity, or like a short course or something? Like, okay.
Do we have to do it?
Well,
why? So why? In the end game, what's the why? Once the identity is achieved,
so that other people, and yourself will know what to expect from you. That sounds lame.
It's a tough topic. It really is. For me, it is.
Yeah, dude, I think I think what helps me is not attributes or characteristics of an identity, but what makes me feel safer or calmer or happy at a moment. And that could be ever changing. But I just need to recognize for this short time, I'm happy here. So this means home. And that means I'm here. This is my identity right here, right now. That's as good as it gets.
I think that's enough.
It is?
I think that's quite a lot. And I think it can be as simple as that. Truthfully.
Good.
That's powerful.
Is that what it is for you? Or is it different? Would you say it differently?
I have trouble with words. And so when you were speaking of that, though, I was just thinking of a rooted plant that had light and air that could grow.
Mm.
I think in terms of what I see and what I feel. I like to extend out to other people warmth and a hearty hello. Sometimes that's enough. Acknowledgement. And all of a sudden that other person smiles. It's really sweet. I love very sweet, simple things.
Is there a place for everyone to get that?
There should be. There needs to be. Yeah, because if you have that, when you have that, and as you were talking about that, I just kind of went, oh, everything's, yeah, everything's good. The deep breath, shoulders go down. Don't worry.